we had a very interesting conversation about Daniel Jones and the quarterback of the Giants, who I believe in more than a lot of other people, including a lot of the team's fans. Like, I hear from a lot of fans, I actually hear the words, Daniel Jones is creating a problem for the Giants by playing better than anyone thought that he could. I feel like when I watch Daniel Jones, Chris, I see an ascending player who maybe, just maybe, could turn out to be really good. Like right now, he's good. He's got a skill set. He runs ridiculously well. I think that with the receiving core he has, I don't think Johnny Unitas could be putting up huge numbers. I think he is an ascending player who might turn out to be a really good player. I think you would be out of your mind at this point if you're the Giants not to figure out a way to keep him long term. I don't feel like you are as sold on that. Give me your evaluation of Daniel Jones.
Well, he's played really good football this year, and I think it's a product of having an adult in the room in Brian Daboll as his head coach. And it's vastly different in that building from when Joe Judge was there, when Pat Shermer was there, and certainly with Ben McAdoo. So you feel better about Daniel Jones's opportunities to be able to evolve as a player. In the way that they're using him, they're keeping him out of situations that in the past we've seen turnover-worthy plays from him. He's done a good job of protecting the football. They're allowing him to use his legs on zone read schemes, and they're picking and choosing their spots where they want to go over the top. And you saw that early in the Jacksonville game to Darius Slayton for that touchdown on the first drive. Daniel Jones showed, based on the looks that defense was giving him, that he could take advantage of opportunities in the passing game. And when the Jags made the adjustments, in the second half, they moved to the run game. Daniel Jones using his legs as a threat to the defense, and then Saquon Barkley closing it out in the fourth quarter. I think Brian Daboll has a good pulse on his team. He understands what they do well. He understands what they don't do so well and keeps them out of those situations. But with the Daniel Jones of it all, as he continues to win games, the Giants are going to have to move closer to figuring out a way to retain him. The only concern I have with that, G, is that is it going to be at a number that we're going to regret 2 or 3 years from now?
So Mike T., that brings us directly to your area of expertise, because you said something that I sort of suspected, but I wasn't sure. In your opinion, if Daniel Jones were to hit the open market, you think he would have a robust market and someone would throw a ton of money at him? That I feel like that's what you said on TV today.
Yeah, it's supply and demand, Greeny. There's about a third of the NFL that has big question marks at receiver, and some of them
quarterback. Yeah,
excuse me, quarterback.
Yeah.
And some of them are non-obvious. Like we talked a little bit about the Saints. We talked a little bit about the Buccaneers. There's a lot of teams. Take even, for example, the Miami Dolphins. I don't think they're going to sign him, but do you think they're going to feel comfortable to sign Tua to a long-term deal given his injury situation? So when I say a third of the league, it brings out some other teams. And my point is, there's a great cliche that applies here. And Chris, you kind of touched on it. When you evaluate a player, the type sets the floor and the character sets the ceiling. So he's been through Shermer and McAdoo and Judge, and clearly he's a great kid. He's working hard. And I'm sure if I'm John Mara, I'm really intrigued. Like, what does Daniel Jones, guys, look like in 3 years with Brian Daboll? Unfortunately for them, they're not going to have that luxury, because if they tag Saquon Barkley, Chris, which you suggested, and then they say, hey, we want to pay Daniel Jones reasonable, Greeny, to your point, there's going to be some team, if Frank Reich survives, for example, and gets one more shot at it, there's no number that they wouldn't pay Daniel Jones, who would at least solidify the position from an athletic standpoint and an age standpoint.
But here's the thing. Based on the track record of Brian Daboll and what we've seen him do with Josh Allen and what we're seeing him do with Daniel Jones, I'm not as concerned about what the succession plan looks like, because I know I have a head coach that has proven he can develop quarterbacks. And so when you look at how the Giants have drafted, the infrastructure that they put in place along the offensive line, if they're able to keep a player like Saquon Barkley, if they're able to add some more explosive players on the edges, it might be a situation that's right for developing a young quarterback, especially given how good Wink Martindale has that defense playing.
Chris, take it. For 20 years, we were chasing Tom Brady, be it the Jets or the Dolphins. Like, that is way easier said than done. Like, I appreciate Brian Daboll. I work with him. I think he's really good. But if Daniel Jones walks out the door, given the amount of games they won, they're out of the Will Levis, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud discussion. Not saying there's not other quarterbacks in the draft, but I'm saying it's a lot harder to get. That's why Daniel Jones is going to get paid. Those other teams are looking at the same sort of options.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.